Alright, welcome inside the Subaru camper here. This is going to be a really quick video, but I've seen a lot of people asking on some of the camper van Facebook groups I'm in and the car camping Facebook groups about curtains and privacy and stuff. So I thought I'd share these awesome little super simple low profile curtain rods that I made. I mentioned them in my walkthrough video that I did on the Tire Side channel, but I'll go ahead and mention them here again on their own video. So right here is the curtain rods that I made. Again, they're super simple. Each one of these only takes 3-4 parts, excluding the screws that I used to put them in. So all this curtain rod is made out of is 3/16 steel rod, and you can find that in the steel section of pretty much any hardware store, or even Home Depot or Lowe's has a little section that has some metal bar and stuff. And this stuff is pretty cheap. I believe the last time I checked at the hardware store, one of these rods at 6 feet long was about $6. And so that's $6 a side. And actually, I think I cut these ones short, but if you have a van, you could probably use the full 6 feet and wouldn't have to cut them. So this stuff's pretty cheap. It's like $6. And then what I use to hang it up, which you might not be able to see, but I'll cut some footage in, is these little rubber insulated conduit clips, or P-clips. They have a couple different names, but you can find these kind of just in the bulk hardware sections with the totes and stuff in a hardware store. These were like $1, maybe $1.50 a piece, and they perfectly grip around this 3/16 rod, if you get the right size, of course. And the rubber's nice because it keeps the rod from sliding around. It doesn't squeak or screech if there is any movement, and it just grips it really nice. And all I've done there is then sunk these little clips into these plastic trim pieces with some self-tapping screws, and those are pretty cheap. You can get little baggies of them at the hardware store, or a box of them just to keep in the garage. They're pretty handy. I've managed to find a use for them all the time. But just one screw in each thing, and I've had these things in here for over a year now, and they've been absolutely fantastic, and they haven't pulled out. It's held into the plastic well. Of course, each vehicle is going to be slightly different as far as the plastic trim goes. If something like this won't work because maybe your trim doesn't go as high as mine, maybe you could look at attaching these thin rods to like the door pull with maybe some Velcro loops or something, or maybe even go into the edge of a plastic trim piece with a hook or something. But all in all, these curtain rods are awesome. They don't get in the way. They're not obnoxious. They've never annoyed me for any kind of a reason. And like I said, they're not big, bulky, and you're not trying to use like tension rods to hold things up. Like I said, they're sturdy and awesome, and I've really enjoyed them. It's probably worth mentioning too, these curtains, these are just blackout curtains that I've made. Or I didn't really make them, I bought them, and I had them sitting around. The problem is, pretty much most windows, these are designed to hang the long ways, and with a car window or a van window, you're going to want them sideways, and the loops aren't designed for sideways. So I'll show some clips here closer up. All I've done is gone down the side here, folded over a little bit of it, and then ran a few stitches with my sewing awl with some heavy duty thread, and just kind of looped it over so it acts as a slide. And then another thing is there's Velcro on each one of these ends that I can stick to the front there to hold it in place. And so that they're not flapping around if I want to drive with my window down, I just tuck them behind this seatbelt thing here, and that's pretty much it as far as that goes. Those curtains are really nice, but really the most helpful thing that I think you're going to have for stealth in a vehicle is window tint, and like as dark as you can. If it's hot out, like today it's kind of hot, I'm sitting in here and it's a little bit warm, but I have some really nice ceramic window tint. It's quite a bit more expensive than standard color, but it rejects heat, whereas the color is just dark. So the nice thing about the tint is it makes it so that these curtains aren't visible, because if you just draw curtains over a clear window with no tint, that's not very stealthy. You know, you could look at a car and be like, why does that car have curtains in the windows? So the tint is just an extra layer to reject heat. These curtains are thermal curtains too. So that's my curtain setup. Maybe it gives you guys some ideas of things you can do with your own setup. I know I like the way that these turned out, and like I said, I've been using them for a year, and I've been perfectly happy with them. So anyways, hope that was helpful for you guys, and if you have any questions or tips, leave them down in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next video.
If you like to follow along with the rest of our adventures, make sure to subscribe, and to make sure you don't miss out on any other videos, click the notification bell as well.